Blue Valley families, it's time. Elementary and middle school registration for the 2025-26 school year is officially open. It only takes a few clicks to register your child and set them up for a great year of learning, growth, and new experiences. Don't wait. Knock this off your to-do list today. Get started now at bluevalleyk12.org/registration.
I think the beauty about our community in the Blue Valley School District is that we can all work together.
You're really always just looking forward to just go back to school.
Just to see the pride that people have in Blue Valley School District year after year is so much fun to watch.
You can't find this anywhere else. I am so thankful we live where we live and can have our children in the Blue Valley school systems.
Hello, Blue Valley community, and welcome to another edition of BV Unmuted, the Blue Valley Schools podcast. This is a special episode. We are celebrating the successes of our 2020 through 2025 strategic plan. By the time that you listen to this episode, the Blue Valley Board of Education has already approved the 2025 through 2030 strategic plan. But before diving into that plan next year, we want to talk about the successes, milestones, and impacts of this last strategic plan. Here today to discuss with me is Dr. Katie Collier, Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Kelly Wessel, Director of Human Resources for Recruitment and Retention, and Jake Slobodnik, who you've been on a couple of these with me, Jake, Executive Director of Operations. So just to start, as we think back to the strategic plan and its successes, Katie, I'm going to start with you. What achievements or milestones really stand out for you?
It's always a great opportunity to be given the chance to talk about the great things our staff have done for our students. I think about our graduation requirements, and when I think about the work that went into really analyzing the courses that we wanted to offer to our students, and when I think about the paths that we're trying to create to give students the opportunity for choice and exploration prior to graduation as they attain those graduation requirements, that's just really great work by our staff. We have been engaged in our high school study over the last few years, and as part of our high school study, we have been expanding real-world learning experiences for students. This past year, because this was written in our past strategic plan, we saw more and more students across all of our high schools engage in client-connected projects, so more of our high school students engaging in projects that have authentic audiences and trying to solve real problems in industry. Those are just some highlights that we've experienced.
Awesome. And so, Jake, one of our strategic pillars that we had was to create a strategically agile system. So how do you think that we have strengthened the systems that support our students, whether it's allocating resources, staffing, or facility improvement?
Talk about strategically agile. This plan came about before COVID, right? And then COVID hit, and so we all had to be nimble and on our toes. But I don't know how long we have. I could talk about this for hours, but I mean,
we don't have hours.
We don't have hours, so I won't do that. But a couple highlights. So we successfully passed a no tax rate increase in 2020 for $186 million. Over 73% of our voters supported that referendum, and we completed all that work within 3 years. Then we came back and successfully passed another no tax rate increase for the 2023 bond referendum for $251 million. Again, over 70% of our voters supported that. We're in the second year of implementing that work now and on schedule to complete all that by 2026. Both of these initiatives supported our staff and students with significant facility upgrades and additions, security enhancements, technology improvements. We implemented the crisis alert system, which allows our staff members to quickly alert building and administrators of a health emergency or a more critical emergency. We've created a new attendance boundary for our newest middle school, Wolf Springs Middle School, and that project's completely under construction now and slated to open in 2026. Speaking of boundaries and enrollment, we created a new non-resident enrollment policy that was required by state law, and we've accepted our first non-resident students this year. And then talking about how we support our staff and our students, our finance team has done a fantastic job of creating a balanced budget to maximize all of our financial resources to make sure that we have the very best educators that we can get and provide the very best education for our students.
Yeah, COVID, we sometimes want to forget about that, but we had to be nimble in the classroom, but we also had to be nimble in your department. And so I want to give a shout out to your team because you did stay on track, even during those early years when construction was a challenge.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We had some great partners, and we worked really hard and stayed the course, and we're excited to see all the things that we've done and all the things we'll continue to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Dr. Wessel, one of our priorities for a long time in Blue Valley has been really fostering balanced health and well-being. And one way that we have done that most recently is through youth mental health first aid training. Why is that so important to equip our staff with those skills, and how many have we trained so far?
Well, we're really thankful for the opportunity to be able to do this and have really taken a unique approach to mental health first aid in the Blue Valley School District. What we know is that approximately 1 in 5 youth in the United States will have a mental disorder that will significantly impact their life. This means that 1 in 5 teens and young adults live with a mental health condition, and half will develop this condition by the age of 14 and 3/4 by the age of 24. For the state of Kansas, suicide is the second leading cause of death for our youth aged 10 to 24. What we have found is that our exceptional staff that are very compassionate and just dedicated to what they do want to be able to help our students when they are experiencing a mental health challenge or a crisis, but they don't know what to say and they don't know what to do. And it's a very awkward and difficult conversation to have. So what Youth Mental Health First Aid does is it provides them with the knowledge and the skills that they need to not only recognize the signs and symptoms of a mental health challenge or crisis, but then to have the conversations that will get the young person to an individual who can really provide that next level of support that they need from a mental health professional. This has been just a game changer for us in terms of equipping, and we really focus on our secondary staff, particularly our coaches and our sponsors, who are seeing our young people every single day in various stressful situations, whether it's competition or just getting to see them in a more natural setting, whether they're sponsoring the ping pong club or the play or anything like that. So we have been able to allow them to then know what to look for and know what to say. At this point, we have trained over 600 of our staff members, and we have also trained about 50 people through our partnership with BV Well in the community. These are parents and substitutes and grandparents who also want to know what to say, whether it's to their own child or to their child's best friend or to a niece or to a nephew, and they want to know what to do. What I can tell you anecdotally is that people will put into practice the information that they learn at mental health first aid the very next day or even that night. And sometimes it will be to support a young person, and we've also found that sometimes it's to support another loved one in their family. So we just continue to get feedback from the individuals that have gone through the training to talk about how it's given them a sense of confidence as well as increase their capacity to know what to do in what can just feel like a very stressful and alarming moment.
Yeah, I've been a part of the training as well, and it's very, very well done. And I would encourage anybody who's listening to this, if there's an opportunity, it will be time well spent.
I would say it's life-changing. I use the tools that I learned in that training, like you said, not necessarily the very next day, but within days I was able to identify somebody might be going through a hard time. And it may just be a bad day, but being able to ask those questions and implement the things that we learned, I think it's one of the best things our district's done.
Yeah.
I've got to say that, and we were allowed to do this, I think, because of what was put in the 2020-2025 strategic plan, where we want to really foster cultures of balanced health and well-being. We also had so much support from our generous community through the Blue Valley Education Foundation. We had companies like J.E. Dunn, Keep the Spark Alive, that truly believed in what we were doing and offered generous donations to make sure that Blue Valley could do this differently, in the sense that we were going to have our own instructors. So that means that we had certified staff members that went the extra mile, came in the summer of June. It was in June of 2023. They came in for a full week in the summer. They went through extensive training so that they could become certified to be youth mental health first aid trainers. This allowed us to have some flexibility and to be nimble, as we had to be, to offer various opportunities to our staff and to the community to go through the certification. And we will be able to continue to do that because of the partnerships and because these 17 amazing individuals that said yes to taking on this extra responsibility.
I feel really hopeful about our future for our students in this district, because as we just went through the new strategic plan development process, our community and our staff and our students echoed that continuing to support the needs of our students' mental health and that of our staff, and staff desire to want to continue to learn so that they can support and respond to our students is really important. So I'm hopeful for what else can still come.
So that kind of transitions us to, we talked about this training for our staff to support students, but we focused a lot on support for our students in our schools, as well as social emotional learning. Dr. Collier, what impacts have we seen from these efforts?
You know, I think if you were had the opportunity to walk through any of our schools, you have the opportunity to hear from staff and students directly just about the supports that are put in place to help make students successful academically. So our staff know, our mental health teams in our buildings know that if a student is really struggling perhaps academically, they begin with the conversations of what do we know about the child, what avenues of support can we offer the children. Additionally, our social workers, our Children's Mercy Hospital social workers that partner with us do a great job of helping to connect our students and our families to resources outside of the district, which in turn help them to be successful students.
And Kelly, just as important as student well-being is our staff well-being. So what efforts have we made to support staff over the last 5 years?
One of the most important efforts has actually come from you, Dr. Merrigan, and I know it kind of started right in the heart of the pandemic, but you do a great job of sending videos to the staff. You know, if you could, you would go to every single staff member and talk to them one-on-one, and that's just not possible. So you have done a great job of sending videos, or you send your administrative team emails, and you're always saying, consistently messaging that you need to take care of yourself and challenging people to find whatever that means, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, but to make sure that you do something for yourself, and when it's time to turn it off, it's time to turn it off. When we have our leader consistently telling us over and over to take care of ourselves, it trickles down. And then our principals have done an amazing job of helping their staff to continue to take care of themselves, because in order for our staff to continue to take really good care of our children, they have to take care of themselves. This is such a hard job, and it requires so much physical and emotional and mental exertion that we just need to keep reminding each other, and we need to keep putting in place the supports to do that. So we have looked at it, from a human resources standpoint. What does that look like to make sure that we can start to take away some of the stresses in somebody's life? Because when you think about self-care, there's various categories. So you've got your physical health, your emotional health, you've got your mental health, you've got your financial well-being. You've got your social health, you've got, just your connections to other people. For a lot of people, it can be a spiritual avenue for self-care, exercise, all those things. And so we've continued to make sure that we have 4 health care plans that our employees can choose from, where the Blue Valley School District is contributing to that premium, even as the cost of health care continues to rise. Our board continues to find ways to make sure that we're offering this to our employees and giving them some choice so that they can choose the best healthcare plan to meet their needs and their family's needs. So that's one thing. I would say the other thing that our amazing wellbeing team has tried to do, is to think about those things that really we want to be preventative about, that we know can help you, but you need quick access to. So, they bring in nurses to offer flu vaccines at all of our school sites. Just last week, we had a mobile mammogram bus out in the district office parking lot. They're looking at various ways we're doing skin cancer screening. So all these preventative ways to help maintain that kind of, I just want to say it's like a category of your self-care and being proactive about your physical health. In addition to that, they do all sorts of challenges, like well-being. Like for March Madness, we had like a well-being challenge that include like walkathons and just the various ways that you can engage in whether it's exercise or meditation or whatever that looks like. They're just constantly providing opportunities and avenues for our staff to take advantage of. Earlier in the fall semester, they did a virtual vitality conference, and where they had category or topics. And staff, it was on the Friday of conference week, so staff were home, and a lot of our staff were home, I should say, or staff that were here, they could just log on. It was a Zoom session, and they had different categories. So there were sessions on financial well-being, whether it was retirement planning or investing or whatever that looked like. They had sessions, again, on mental health and well-being. They even had sessions on, a lot of our staff are not only caring for children as part of their job, but they have young children at home and they have aging parents. So there were sessions on how to work with individuals and care for individuals that may have dementia or early signs of Alzheimer's or anything like that. And then they also had topics on just physical wellness and what that could look like. So I would just say that our well-being team is constantly seeking opportunities, whether it's gym discounts or highlighting the specials of, from Teacher Education Week to get you a deal for a free coffee or whatever it looks like, just to make sure that our staff can take care of themselves.
Katie, I'm remiss that when we were talking about the extraordinary educational opportunities we have in the district, you talked about high school graduation credits and the real-world learning, but I'm really proud of the work that you and your team have done around literacy and math. So do you want to talk a little bit about what we've seen in the last 5 years there?
Jake started his comments talking about how, as a district, we had to be nimble during COVID, and I think that same thing happened and was true when we think about professional learning and how we deliver professional learning to our staff. And I was just in awe that during some of the most difficult times, if you will, over the last 5 years, our staff was still ready, willing, wanted to, desired to participate in professional learning around literacy across all of our school levels, pre-K through 12. So we continue to meet and exceed the state requirements for us when it comes to our literacy expectations. Our staff at the elementary level have heavily invested in 95% group, and that's our literacy program that helps our students in the developmental stages of reading. We have really increased our teacher capacity for instruction of the science of reading across all levels because, we're not just teaching reading in a high school ELA class, but that instruction, that awareness of how students function as readers matters, whether you're taking a history class or a chemistry class. So again, just hats off to our staff and the district ELA literacy leadership, because they've just gone above and beyond. And the same is true in math. So in math, we have implemented iReady across elementary and middle schools, and our staff continues to implement that program with fidelity, engaged in learning over and over, and sought more opportunities to learn and asked for that even beyond what was initially offered to them. So certainly they're invested in the outcomes that we have for students around that program and the curriculum that's written behind that. Year over year, what we have seen in literacy and math over the last 5 years is continued growth in our summative data, so that's our state testing. We continue to see year-over-year growth for our students, and that's a huge attribute to our staff that shows that our students are working hard, that they're responding to the instruction. I'm really proud of the strategic plan that the board just approved last night that's going to take us into the future, that continues to emphasize growth in math and literacy, that gives our staff really the license, if you will, to continue to dig in, to make sure that we are engaging in best practices in our district, that continues to allow us to have high expectations of our vendors, if you will, that are going to work with us to help us execute our curriculum in our classrooms. We believe in continuous improvement, and we just know we're going to continue to emphasize those, because high levels of success in math for students, high levels of success in literacy for students means more success for students academically beyond Blue Valley, or if they choose to go right into careers. That's going to help them be much more competitive and successful. So that's a huge hallmark of the outcome of this last strategic plan.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You walk into classrooms now and you see really quality instruction across the board in every single classroom. But we know that none of the things that we've talked about today, whether it's Jake with your team, Kelly as your recruiting and retaining staff, the work we're doing in our classrooms, if we didn't have exemplary educators. And so a part of the last strategic plan was really around exemplary educators and ensuring we had one in every single position, not just in every classroom, but every single position we have in the district. So one of the things that we've really worked on is around professional learning and professional learning communities with our certified staff. So Kelly, you want to talk a little bit about that and what we've seen?
It's really fun to go out and recruit and talk about actually like professional learning, because what we know is that people come to their jobs and they want to do meaningful work and they want to get better at it. And so we get the opportunity to talk about how, even just built into our school calendar, we, depending on the weather, we'll have 8 or 9 professional learning days. And these are times where our colleagues get to come across the district together and meet with all high school math or all middle school ELA or all of our PE teachers coming together and really working with whether it's our instructional coaches or our content coordinators to address issues that are happening, to look at data together, and then to talk about strategies and things that they can do differently in their learning environments to better meet the needs of our students and expand their learning opportunities. A huge win for us, and I got to give a lot of credit to Katie for her vision behind this and her work behind this, has been these elementary collaboration days that we've done. Our principals have done an amazing job of really structuring these days so that they're time for our elementary staffs, and not just our teachers, but the whole staff, to get to come together and really look at their data and figure out what it is, just like you would during your professional learning community. But you're asking these questions of what have students learned, what are we doing for those students that haven't quite got it yet, do we need to do for those students that already got it and need an enhancement. And the elementary schedule is just so tight, and it makes it really challenging to do that work during a school day when you've got all those young people in the classroom that have all of these needs. Whereas the middle school and the high school schedule, there's times that we can build that in, whether it's a late start or flex time. So having a one day a month where our elementary staff can really sit down and do the work of a PLC together, and then just to have that time to, whether it's to talk to the ESOL teacher or to work with one of the paraprofessionals, it has been a game changer for our staff, for what we've been able to do for our students. And honestly, it's probably my best talking point when I go out and recruit. I don't know another school district in the area that has done something like this, and we really have to thank our community for partnering, because we know this causes stress to them. School is awesome, and we're so excited that every day we're working hard for our students so that they can grow into these successful individuals, whatever that looks like, and be happy and thrive in their worlds. But also, we are providing, for working parents, when your child is at school, you can be at work. And so for children not to be in school an additional one day a month, it was a big ask. And we're just so thankful to them for working with us. I know Katie did a great job of collecting a lot of feedback so that it was a decision that was made by all. And that, I think, has helped to really fuel its success. And I know that our principals have been really transparent with their communities. This is how we're spending that time. I get to kind of see how they're spending the time when they enter the information in our professional growth system. But it's been awesome to I just think it's a shining star of success that wouldn't have been possible without the support of our community, of our Board of Education, and just our staff's then working so hard and really taking advantage of that additional time.
So you're asking us questions around really the success of the strategic plan. And I just think about throughout our entire district, all of the staff that are invested in making sure our kids succeed, whether that's this plan that we're sunsetting or this new plan. And I think about members of Jake's team that I know they have project management meetings to figure out where they're at, and they have timelines that they meet, and they're meeting those timelines to make sure that we're providing the best facilities, et cetera, for students. I think about whether it's professional learning, when I think about instructional design coaches, reading specialists, our administrators, our teachers, our custodians. There's just this true collective investment of our staff on knowing that the mission is to do the best that we can for our kids. And I think that was true in the last strategic plan. I think we're going to see that happen with our future strategic plan, because I think that's just in the DNA of the staff that we hire. So I just had to share that. I just kept thinking about investment as I heard them speak.
I could not agree with you more. Blue Valley is so lucky to have the staff that we do. We wouldn't be able to function and to do the great things that we do for kids. I also want to applaud our Board of Education for approving the Elementary Collaboration Days. That was a big lift. Thank our community. Applaud our Board of Education, our Finance Department for squeezing every dime that we can. We know compensation is important. We will continue to fine-tune that and make sure that we can offer competitive wages to all of our staff. I appreciate each of you taking the time to share the successes of the last 5 years. It's been incredible to watch and to be a part of the really hard work that our staff has put and bring this plan to life. I could not be prouder to be a part of the Blue Valley District and the work that we have done over the course of the last 5 years. Probably what I am most proud of is the people that we have. The people that we have in our system are why we can have amazing facilities, why we can do the work in literacy and math and all of those other areas. So I am confident that with this new plan that was just approved under Dr. Chapman's leadership and all of the people here at Blue Valley, that this district will only continue to grow and the momentum will build. And I cannot wait to be cheering on Blue Valley from the community as a community member. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the Blue Valley School District. And this is the end of Blue Valley Unmuted for the 2024-25 school year.